Yo, what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the 502 Lounge. It's me, Marcus, right here with my boy Amir. And how you doing, man? Thanksgiving tomorrow. How you feeling, bro? You on break?
All bets are off, man. All bets are off.
We trying to get in shape, man. But hey, look, hey, Thanksgiving, bro, supersedes all of that, man. You hungry? I'm about to eat good tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Like I said, all bets are off. There's no dieting tomorrow. There is none of that.
Absolutely. Look, man, you might as well just wait until Monday to hit that Planet Fitness.
Oh no, I'm hitting the gym.
You going on?
Man, that's how you create a deficit, right? So
That's
you can
true.
eat more.
Look,
You know,
gotta make the space.
you gotta make the space. I'm definitely hitting the gym if they're open, or I'm going for a run outside, man. I don't care.
Hey, I feel it, man. Make the space, and I mean, look. Here's the thing: Thanksgiving, that's the appetizer, but the Black Friday leftovers, that's. Hey, man, that's when you finish it off.
They're on the next level right there.
That's what's up.
But man,
it's good to be back with you here, bro.
Episode 2, huh?
Episode 2, man. We talked about football the other day. With Louisville making it to the ACC Championship with a 38-31 win at Miami. But today we're going to talk more about the men's basketball program. Unfortunately, Louisville basketball kind of off to a rough start. After the Chattanooga game, losing 81-71 at home, we were all just confused because I feel like we were really upset about how last season went. Louisville going 4-28, the worst record in Louisville basketball history. I didn't expect Louisville last year to be, a tournament team or anything like that. I knew the circumstances that we were going through with the IARP cloud, the NCAA cloud still hanging over our heads, and just a lot of uncertainty with the basketball program and its future. But man, I don't think anybody ever expected it to be as bad as it was.
Look, I had a very low expectation with that team. Talking about a 15 to, basically be on the bubble.
Yep.
Man.
Ooh, bro, I'm telling you, man. I thought about it years ago when Rick Pitino got fired and we ended up with David Padgett. I was thinking to myself, man, I think worst case scenario would be winning 12 games in a season. But man, I was proved wrong with the debacle that happened last season, man. 4-28 overall record, the worst record in Louisville basketball history, and honestly, it might be one of the worst records in college basketball history. So I'll be honest. I was a Kenny Payne supporter starting off. I wanted Kenny Payne to be the coach.
I never did.
I know, man. You were fighting me to the death.
I was fighting with Chris Mack. I did not approve of him. I did not approve of Kenny. But as a fan, you have to support them.
Oh, absolutely, man. I support whoever is leading any of the programs at the University of Louisville. I felt like this. Yes, there was the angle that yes, Kenny Payne has no coaching experience, but I've seen coaches in college basketball, first year head coaches make an impact and get their teams to the NCAA tournament, get their teams, they start to build that foundation early. And you can tell. I mean, look at what Jerome Tang did with Kansas State last year. Kansas State 2021-2022 was one of the worst teams in the Big 12 and one of the worst teams in Power 6 basketball. And he comes in, he revitalizes the roster. He brings in Keontae Johnson from Florida. He brings in Marquise Noel. And, man, they made it to the Elite Eight. And I felt like that was hopefully something we could get under Kenny. But, man, I never figured it would be the way that it did. I mean, what do you think went wrong with last year? Let's just start with last year. Just what were your thoughts? Just going through that entire season. Is there a point where you kind of knew that the season was going to take a dip for the worst?
You know what I knew?
Yeah,
I knew when we went to that Lenore Ryan game.
Oh.
When we lost that game, I was like, "Oh, this is about to be a rough season."
Man,
man.
Gosh.
Now, I didn't think it was gonna be that rough.
That was a shocker. That was a shocker to all of us because like I said,
we looked at each other.
Lenore Ryan went up about 6 points. With 12 minutes ago, when we looked at each other, we was like, man, I don't think this is going to end well. I mean, honestly, dude, I knew that things were going to be messed up when Kenny did not get anybody in the portal or anybody. He didn't recruit anybody practically until it was too late. I mean, he started off with Devin Reed, who was a 4-star guard who decommitted from LSU, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield from Tennessee. And that was about it. But still, there were so many holes in the roster. We both were kind of looking at each other like, what is he doing here? Like, we only had one primary guard. And then at the last second, he brings in a guy, Fabio Basile, a guy that we never heard of. I mean, you couldn't even find a recruiting profile on the guy. And we were thinking, I was thinking to myself, what's the plan here? What are we doing?
I mean, he had no business being anywhere around Louisville, man.
No offense. I mean,
no offense. Great guy.
It's just time to keep it real. And I mean, Rick Pitino even recruited some guys like that we were kind of questioning why did this guy get a scholarship, but never to this extent. I mean, this guy should have been playing, probably D2 ball. And I mean that with all sincere respect. I don't mean that with any, malintent, but let's just be real, man. He did not belong on a Louisville basketball roster.
And, like Rick Pitino, he liked those lower-rated players, because he liked developing them. I mean, if you look at 2013, dude,
dude,
those guys, they were not highly rated.
Russ Smith,
other than like Wayne Blackshear or something like that.
Russ Smith was a 1-star coming out of high school, man, and he ended up being. Did Russ win? No. Luke won MOP, but Russ was a vital part to that team. He was a 1-star. Louisville won the national championship with a 1-star Russ Smith and a transfer from George Mason.
You knew about Luke.
And I knew about Luke Hancock, man. I remember 7th grade, George Mason made it to the tournament. They were playing Villanova. And I remember, man, I saw this white dude, number 11 on George Mason. He just crossed up Corey Stokes from Villanova, crossed him up, had a sweet jumper, bang, just nailed it to win the game. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, this Luke Hancock dude, he's something nice. I even made him on the video game too. And then who would have ever thought that he would have been playing for the University of Louisville, man?
Man, we were questioning him. I mean, to be honest, he was going through a lot of injuries, but up until probably the Georgetown loss.
Yeah.
I think until then we were really questioning him. But after that, I was like,
he got it rolling.
He's the shooter.
It's like the point being is that we've been accustomed to bringing in guys who didn't have high recruiting profiles out of high school, and we're kind of under the radar. But I mean, let's be real. You have to also have the coaching go along with that. And when you don't have the coaching go along with that, it looks like a massive train wreck. And that's exactly what it is for Louisville, what it was for Louisville basketball last year.
Oh yeah, even our play style, that run and gun, doesn't really work. It's not. I mean, is it working for Kentucky? If we're being honest, like
I think
it's kind of working because they have the 5 stars and stuff, but it's not impacting anything on the tournament side or anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, Kentucky has gotten exposed since. I mean, they haven't been to the second weekend since 2019. But I think they have more success also because I will say this. It also hinders on coaching. And Cal, he gets on them dudes.
Yeah, he does.
Kenny, he's too passive. And sometimes we talked about this on Saturday with the difference between Jeff Brom and Scott Satterfield. Jeff Brom is not afraid to get in his players' faces and hold them accountable. Scott Satterfield was kind of an all shucks, we'll get them, and that's the same kind of formula that Kenny Payne has run, and it's been pretty destructive for the program, and it's unfortunate, man.
In this era when everything's about the 3 now, how do you not go after 3-point shooters? Right?
It's the most mind-boggling thing to me, bro, because our Louisville's 3-point defense might be the worst that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? I knew that, under Chris Mack, we ran the pack line, and the pack line forces teams to shoot the perimeter shots. But still, even then, you have guys contesting. You have guys, still making it hard for them to get nice looks from downtown. We're leaving guys wide open and having them look like Ray Allen II. You know what I mean? That Chattanooga dude, I don't even remember what his name was, Honor Hill or something like that. The man had 6 threes in the first quarter, in the first half. I mean, and you make no adjustments to that. What? I just don't understand, man. That's definitely the weakest point of this team is this defensively. Louisville. I'll say this: when the season started, starting off, man, this season we felt like we had a team good enough to compete. Because at first last year we thought, okay, it was maybe it was just the players that we had because a lot of those guys were Chris Mack guys, and we saw how the season before ended where Chris Mack quit and the team just fell apart. But
well, see, that's why my expectations were so low, right? Because of how that ended. But if you really think about it, man, the players we had were still not bad.
They weren't bad.
At least not bad to lose to D2 and
to lose to Lenore Ryan and
App State,
Wright State, Lipscomb, Bellarmine. And I'm sorry, Scotty D. We love you, Scotty D. But Louisville should never lose to Bellarmine on any occasion ever.
Yeah, and
Louisville should never be losing to Bellarmine on any given day. Wright State, any of those teams. And I know that upsets happen in college basketball. That's a part of the game. It's especially with the transfer portal, and you have a lot of guys who play for these Power 6 schools end up transferring to these lower level schools, and you know what I'm saying? It helps those schools out a lot, and so upsets are more likely to happen. But still, no, Wright State. If you gave Wright State's coach, actually, we'll just go to this year. Louisville starting off the season losing to Kentucky Wesleyan, man. Kentucky Wesleyan, bro. We're not talking about Morehead State or Murray State. We're talking or Eastern Kentucky. We're talking about freaking Kentucky Wesleyan, a D2 school, Owensboro, Kentucky, man. It just. You cannot have those losses. And from then and there, man, Kenny, I don't want to say he was, his momentum was dead on arrival the moment that loss happened.
We kind of knew it was we knew it was going to be a long season.
Even in the Simmons game, bro.
Yeah.
Even in the Simmons game, we won by 41, but we still looked sloppy. And I knew going into that Wesleyan game, I'm like, man, if we even play remotely the way that we played against Simmons, we will lose this game. And unfortunately, the fear came to life, man.
Man, the amount of turnovers to Simmons.
Oh, man.
This team does not play like they're a disciplined team. They don't have that discipline. They don't have a coach that disciplines them. If that was Rick Pitino and you're turning the ball over like that, dude, it's over.
I'll say this. There's a famous quote by the late Bobby Knight. And I do not agree with Bobby Knight's coaching tactics. With a lot of his tactics, I did not agree with it. But he had a famous quote on how to handle players making mistakes. You want to hear it?
Yeah. What did he say?
Ass meets bench. Bench retains ass.
That's coded here.
And that's...
Kenny might need to...
But see, last year he didn't have that luxury because he didn't get anybody in the portal. He didn't get anybody. The thing that irritates me the most about Kenny is that, one, he's super stubborn. Dude, you have not built the coaching acumen to be as stubborn as you've been. You need to hit the portal. Every other coach in college basketball is hitting the portal. Why aren't you? Why are you still trying to stick to an archaic way of recruiting?
And also, if you think about it, after Trenton Flowers left, we didn't really add anybody after that.
I'll give a rebuttal to that. I just think that, with Trenton Flowers' skill set, I just don't know if you have anybody. Because, even when Trenton Flowers left, you still, on paper, had a deep roster. You still had a lot of guards. You had Karan Davis, and we thought he would. We heard all offseason about him kind of being an under-the-radar kind of player. You still had Mike James. You still had Scott Clark. You still had Tyler Johnson. So you were still somewhat feeling good. You know what I mean? But it's mainly just in the past, and mainly with recruiting, even this year, trying to recruit all these young guys. The formula has shown that bringing in transfers and bringing in experienced guys leads to, success not only in the regular season but in the NCAA tournament. I mean, look at UConn. UConn had a bunch of transfers on their team, guys that didn't play together all 4 years, guys who were experienced. I mean, every team, you can go back to 2016. The last team to really win with freshmen, win the national championship with freshmen, was that Duke team in 2015 with Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow and Trey, Tyus Jones. That's the last team to win like that. Every team after that has won with experienced guys. And I just don't understand why Kenny wants to stick with this old way of recruiting when everything around him has changed.
I agree. We need shooters, dude. We have no shooters on this team. Nobody can. I don't trust a single person to shoot the ball.
None. I mean, bro. Even the guards, Sky Clark, he's a decent shooter, but he's still not somebody late in the game when you need a three that I would really trust. I mean, we've had every Louisville team has had 2 or 3 guys who can light it up from downtown.
Well, at least one.
At least one.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. I mean, I could go back to the 90s, man. I can go back to B.J. Flynn. Mm-hmm. I could go back to, Will Scott.
Kyle Keurig. Hancock. Ryan McMahon. I mean, Reese Gaines. You don't have a natural born scorer who can score consistently at all 3 levels. No, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield, man, what do you want to say about him?
Dude, it's like a phenomenon, man. Like, what changed in him? I mean, early on, I'll say this, when he first was recruited here and he committed here, I was excited, man. And I was excited.
You were all excited, dude.
Off of a 10-second clip of him dunking on Kentucky. I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, man, this guy's a baller. He's legit. And he comes in, and he just looks super passive. And I'm just kind of like, what's going on, man? Like, why can't he get it going? He just looks, I don't want to say soft, like, but he
looks soft.
He looks soft.
Let's say it
and
as
I just
it
was
is,
like,
man.
I was like, wait a minute, man. This isn't. Where's the guy that was dunking on Kentucky in the SEC tournament at? I don't see any. I don't see any of that. I mean, the man was falling down all over the place. He couldn't get rebounds. I mean, and if he did score, a lot of them points were in garbage time when Louisville was already down an insurmountable deficit. If for Louisville to be successful this year, it's really going to have to hinge on Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He is one of the main guys that we, really
he
have
needs
to
to
rely
step
on.
up. He needs to step up.
But I'll give him credit, man. He has stepped up in these last 2 games.
Especially Texas.
Especially Texas, yeah. And speaking on Texas,
you want to get into Texas here?
Speaking on Texas, Louisville, unfortunately, Sunday afternoon, 3:30 at MSG at Madison Square Garden, unfortunately fallen 81-80 on a last-second shot by Texas's Max Asmus. It was a game that Louisville came in as a 17.5-point underdog. They weren't really, a lot of people were already, including plenty of Louisville fans, including myself, we're kind of already writing this team off.
Dude, we were talking about that game. We were like, man, we might lose by like 25.
Oh, yeah. The biggest fear was this trip to New York somewhat looking like what Maui looked like last year.
Yep.
Where you go in against a good team, you maybe keep it competitive for the first half, and then the second half you just get dunked all over. That's exactly what happened last year. But we didn't see that this year, man. Louisville hung in there, only trailed by 3 at the half, was taking every punch that Texas could give them. It definitely was a night and day difference between this year and last year.
For the first time in Kenny's career, I watched the Louisville team. I was actually nervous. I was off the couch.
Engaged in the game. Bro, I'm going to be real. When I was watching that Coppin State game, bro, I was halfway asleep.
Almost all games, man.
I was scrolling on Twitter and stuff. I wasn't even watching the game like that, man. And that's not like us, because in the past, man, when Louisville basketball comes, it don't matter who we were playing. It don't matter if we was playing Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, freaking, I don't know, South Carolina Tech. I don't care who we were playing, man. If the Louisville basketball game was on, everything in my house stopped. Everything that I was doing stopped. And for me to just be apathetic, you know who, bro, you and I are two of the most diehard, nutty fans out there. And for us to not even care about what's going on, that's a low. That's when you really start getting scared. When your fans, instead of, they stop criticizing, but instead, wait, Sam's still playing.
Sam's still there.
I thought that man was already done.
Or we're watching SMU in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Sam's still there.
Samuel Williamson, former U of L guy, still playing. This is his last year, 5th year. But what I was saying is just, I mean, for us to not even care about what's going on in the game, that's what you really have to fear. I mean, they did a ticket scan for the Coppin State game. The official number of tickets scanned for the Coppin State game, what do you want to guess it was, man?
I'd say somewhere around 5,000.
It was 4,699.
Wow.
22,000 seat arena, and you only had 4,700 tickets scanned. Literally one ticket under 4,700 scanned.
And we're guys that stand up for every game. We don't sit down. We like to jump. That's why we go to the flight deck during football games. Because we want to jump around. And here, you're just like, man, you don't care. You're just like, when we talk to each other during timeouts, when we call, we're like, we see what's going on, we discuss it.
Yep.
And then every time that timeout ends, we're like, all right, bro, game's back, we gotta go.
Yep.
And now I'm just like, man, I don't even care. Let's just talk.
Let's just talk. Just talk through it, man.
It doesn't, like, what am I missing?
Nothing. And I mean, even that might be the first time that Louisville's won a game by 20 points, and I've just felt completely apathetic towards. I was watching, I just was like, what is this?
And then you called it. You were like, man, if Louisville wins that game, they're gonna gloat.
Dude, I told you every step of what was gonna happen. That was my fear. Coppin State was 360th out of 362 in the Ken Palm. 362 meaning that's the last team in it's not FBS, that's football. The last team in Division I college basketball. 362 teams. Coppin State was 360th.
Bro, the next day, I think on Twitter, their basketball page, they posted like fewest points allowed in 2 years or 5 years.
Bro, they might as well have been playing for Simmons.
I'm like, bro, do you realize 41 is a lot? That team should not be scoring 20 against Louisville.
Bro, I'm telling you, if that was anybody else, man, bro, that team would have scored like 25 points.
Like, I was...
Coppin State might be the worst team I've ever seen play, bro.
I'm nervous as in, I don't know if we can win all these games right now. Like, Chattanooga or whatever, Simmons, man. Whatever. Like, man, I don't know if we can pull it out. But this game, I was like, you were nervous too. But I was like, I had that confidence. I was like, we're going to win this just because of how bad they are.
God, they were so bad.
And we only win by 20?
Only scored 61 points. Man.
61 to this team. Like, what?
Yeah, it was ugly. So for Louisville to go from a really sloppy start to the season, it took 94 points to beat UMBC. You get boat raced at home against Chattanooga, where you were down by as many as 21 points on your home floor to a very, very low. Chattanooga's been good in the past. Like, they made it to the tournament not last year, but the year before, and they were in their conference championship last year. But this team was basically they're an entire rebuild. And for Louisville to get run off the floor the way they did, it was just an embarrassment to the program. It was an embarrassment to the fans, an embarrassment to the city, to the people who invest in this program. And so going into this Empire Classic, none of us, I had no faith in Louisville. I mean, there were still fans on Twitter still trying to be positive. But, like, you and I both, bro, we are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, super card nuts and super invested. And even us, we still couldn't gain any any kind of what's the word I'm trying to use here? We couldn't muster up any kind of
Confidence,
confidence and excitement for this trip to New York.
I mean, we were just looking at the schedule and we were struggling to find wins.
I mean, man, I was thinking to myself, bro, if you can't beat Chattanooga, who can you really beat?
Right.
I mean, I was looking at that schedule. I was thinking to myself, man, and it's not the players. It's all the coaches. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, with the coaching, bro, who are you going to beat? Every team against Louisville looks like freaking, 96 Bulls against us. It made no sense to me, man. And so for us to go to New York, and unfortunately, though, we left New York in defeat, for us to go and play the way that we did, especially against a good Texas team. I mean, that Texas team was in the Elite Eight last year. They still had they brought in Max Asmus. They still had Tyrese Hunter. They had Max Asmus came in from Oral Roberts. He was their star player when that Oral Roberts team made it to the Sweet 16.
Yep.
You brought in Caden Shedrick from Virginia. Very, very talented Texas team. And for Louisville to, most of the game take Texas down to the wire and really never relinquish any kind of space for Texas to open up a lead. For us to stay in that game and have a chance to win at the end was, unfortunately in a loss, it gave me a lot of hope just in that night.
A lot. Kenny probably gained at least 5,000 fans back. Right there.
Oh, bro, right absolutely.
There.
Because here's the thing, man. We weren't asking for Kenny to be Rick Pitino or Denny Crum. That's not possible. All right, Louisville fans, we have known how spoiled we've been. Up until Rick Pitino got fired, to only have two coaches in a matter of 50 years. I mean, dude, I go two coaches in 47, two coaches in damn near 50 years. To have that long of coaching stability is a blessing, bro, because even the top dogs, the only school to have that kind of coaching stability, only two schools to have that kind of coaching stability was Duke and Syracuse.
Yep.
And everybody else, even North Carolina, even Kentucky had coaching changes throughout that time. And we were a spoiled fan base. And especially Rick's final, 7 years here, we were very, very final 8 years, we were very, very fortunate, make it to what, the Elite Eight twice. We got to 2 Final Fours, win a national championship. That's all, that's no other fan base would ask for more than that, I feel like. And we knew that this program was going to go through hard times. We knew because of the scandals, unfortunately, that plagued the program. We knew that things were going to be rough, but man, all we wanted from Kenny Payne was to show that he can coach these guys up.
Looking at at that Texas game, that did not look like a Kenny team. It did not. They looked disciplined for the most part. First half, we did do some turnovers and whatnot, but second half we got it together. And every time they went up 4 or 5, and we're both like here we go. But no, they got a way to score, and we felt for the first time as a team. We felt like a team.
Yep.
We felt chemistry and all of that. But next game, everything just seemed to go down.
Just as Louisville had some good momentum going, leaving that Texas game, they played Indiana the next day in New York at Madison Square Garden, and Louisville unfortunately falling 74-66 to Indiana. A local team, a local rival. This was a really good opportunity for Louisville to get a signature win. It was a heartbreaking loss to lose to Texas, but we all kind of knew that was going to be a long shot anyways to win that game. But Indiana was a super winnable game, and Louisville starting off the game, they were down at half. They were down as many as 8 points at halftime. Well, but in the first half. But then they surged in the second half. Tyler Johnson, the star-studded freshman from the Bronx, he was back home playing in front of his hometown and stuff. And Louisville, they took control of the game. I'd say a little after midway through the second half. I mean, Louisville getting up by as many as 7 points. And just, they got up 61-54, and it just, after that, it's just like the wheels fell off, man. What happened?
I will say this. If there's anything good to come out of New York, is that we found our point guard. Tyler Johnson is our point guard. Absolutely. And Kenny needs to make that change. Tyler should be starting.
Absolutely.
I mean, when he was playing, man, offense was fluid.
It was smooth.
It was flowing. It was, a big problem. I like Trey White. I think he's good, but a big problem I have with him is he does too much.
Yep.
And, when Tyler's in control, it allows Sky and other guys to get open. It just flows better.
Yep.
And so that change needs to happen. And I think that's how, at least for this year,
absolutely.
we move forward.
Absolutely, man. And I just, the most confusing thing with Kenny is just that it just seems like he just throws players in just for the hell of it. You know what I mean? There's no kind of situational awareness to his rotations, because why on earth was Zan Payne in the game? There is no reason for Zan Payne to be in the game. I know that's Kenny's son. I know that he loves his son. He's probably thinking, man, son, you play very hard, and I love your effort in practice. But bruh, this ain't practice. In the words of Allen Iverson, practice? We talking about practice. We talking about practice, Amir.
Zan Payne should not get any minutes.
Zan Payne
especially
should be
in a
playing
close
for
game.
Spalding University.
I was just gonna say JCTC, but that's okay. That's okay.
Zan, I'm sorry.
Hey man, I'm not trying to
I'm
disrespect
just being
you,
real.
but
all right. The only time Zan Payne should see the court is on senior day. All right, that's it.
Or if we're up big,
yep,
in the final minutes,
yep.
Or in this case, when we're down big in the final minutes too.
Literally, there was no reason. I mean, you had all this momentum, and then you put your son in the game. I don't even think I've seen Zan Payne even make a shot his whole time playing for Louisville. I don't think the man's.
I don't know, man. I think he made one last year.
Okay, he might have made one shot.
Man.
One shot.
But I think that was red and white though.
Oh my, that makes it even. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, man. I mean, you have star-studded guys like Caleb Glenn and Curtis Williams on the bench, but you put Zan Payne in the game? Come on, man. Come on, dude. That's coaching malpractice at the final.
And then there's no reason for Tyler to be sitting on the bench for that long.
Why was he on the bench in the final?
I mean, I get it. You want to
to
give him a breather, fine, but for that long?
Apparently, Kenny said that he kind of had a groin injury. But
I heard some groin injuries things. I heard cramps. I heard a lot of things, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, okay, even in that case, that Tyler was dealing with cramps or groin injury or something, why did Kenny not call a timeout? When Louisville was up 64-59, I believe. Hold on. Let me see the play-by-play. Let's see what the score was. Louisville was up 60-53. They were up 64-61.
Yeah, with like 4 minutes,
4:23 to go. Louisville did not score another basket for the another important basket the rest of the game.
Yeah,
the only
like 4
bucket,
seconds left.
They didn't score a point for 4 minutes, Amir. And Kenny did not call a timeout through any of that. That is coaching malpractice. What you see, things are obviously going downhill. Why? Just what do you think he was thinking about?
I think he was thinking about why Woodson tricked him. I think that's what he was thinking about.
I mean,
I think he was just sitting there. He's like, man, I can't believe this man just tricked me with the zone.
I think the biggest problem with Kenny, man,
is his pressers.
His pressers. He's too honest. He's too honest. Look, bro, it's okay to lie a little bit. You don't have to completely tell what's on your mind. To say you got tricked by a 2-3 zone, bro, I was learning about a 2-3 zone playing at Newburgh Middle School. Are you kidding me?
Anybody that has played actual basketball in a school or whatever will know zone.
2-3, a 2-3, and it wasn't even a good 2-3. And you want to know what's even worse about it? Mike Woodson didn't even call for the 2-3 zone. It was his own players. His own players in the under 4 timeout. The players were like, well, I think we should try a zone. And Mike Woodson was like, well, okay, let's do it. The man didn't even draw it up. How did you not score a bucket for 4 minutes? Kenneth Payne. Come on, man. We're trying to give you chances after chances. But, bro, when you do things like that, it makes it harder for us to defend you. It makes it harder for us to continue to try to buy back into the program. It's the simple things, man.
Look, man, I know Kenny isn't listening to this right now, but if he is, all we want is hard work, just effort. That's all we're asking for right now.
Hard work, fundamentally sound basketball, and in like, man, what he's missing the most, bro, is that he's missing the X's and O's guy.
He is.
Because, man, like, we have scores on this team, but they don't know what they're doing, and it's not that they're not playing hard. They just look confused. Trey White's not getting put in good situations, bro, to score. Why are we playing 5 out? Why do we have 5 guys on the perimeter? You do not. What is this, the NBA? We don't have stretch 5s like that, stretch 4s. You need to put your big guys inside.
I mean, other than Brandon Huntley Hatfield, I don't even know who else big guys can actually even shoot.
No, nobody. Dennis can't. Why is Dennis playing on the perimeter? I have no. That is like the most just like head scratching thing to me, man. Dennis can't shoot. Okorafor damn sure can't shoot. Nobody can shoot except Brandon Huntley Hatfield, and he's not even like a sound shooter like that.
And honestly, I'll say this: our best shooter, honestly, other than Mike James, might be JJ.
It really might. Hey, JJ knocked down 2 threes.
JJ is probably the only other person other than Mike that I trust.
Man,
somewhat.
Do you really want to trust JJ?
No.
I don't trust
not.
anybody to shoot threes. I mean, man, I kind of wish we could just go back into time into like 1986 and take the 3-point line away. Then we would have success. Then we would look like, okay, we don't need shooters because nobody shoots the ball like that anyways. But man, it's 2023.
I mean, and that's what kind of hurt Denny also, right? He did not really adapt to the 3.
Yeah.
And that's what hurt him. And I don't know if Kenny's trying to like kind of have a mixture of like Cal and Denny's whatever from his experience or whatever, but it's not working.
And I'll say this, man, if you're trying to do that, brother, that is a master plan for disaster. I just don't really. I've never really understood the roster makeup. It's just Kenny talking about I want basketball players. I'm like, what does that mean, man? Like, I don't know what that means. It's such a vague statement, and it doesn't make sense. It's like, dude, you're trying to turn this into a damn NBA G League factory, bro. It's a college basketball program. And your ultimate goal, your ultimate job, especially at a school like U of L, is to win games, okay? I don't care about having first-round draft picks. I don't care about putting guys in the NBA. At the end of the day, I want to win. I want Louisville basketball to be in the NCAA tournament. I want to hear that on Selection Sunday and hear that Louisville's going to the NCAA tournament. No, that other stuff does not matter. And my God, man, Cincinnati, look at what they're doing to Georgia Tech. Oh my goodness, hey man, look, do y'all need an assistant coach? Because I'm just saying.
We'll get into that some other day because we have a message for Cincinnati coming up.
My goodness, wow, Cincinnati up 37 on Georgia Tech, man. Talk about a game that Louisville can win. There's one right there. Georgia Tech appears to really just.
But can we though?
But can we?
Can we?
That's true, man.
After Kentucky Wesleyan, I don't trust any other.
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust a soul, man. We could lose to freaking Trinity High School, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, realistically, I just feel like that we only have a chance of winning 3 or 4 maximum more games. That's how bad it looks for me.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of change, a radical change for me to really have more of a positive outlook on the season. I mean, I feel more positive leaving New York than I did on Saturday or early Sunday before the game. Louisville, this team has shown that it can compete, that they can compete with just about anybody. But the question is, can they finish? That's the problem.
It's more about consistency. Can they keep doing that against other teams? Because what we saw, that Texas game was almost the complete opposite in the Indiana game.
Yep.
Again, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield had one of his best games in that game. I'm not one to blame the refs, but of course a lot of that was on officiating.
That foul call at the end that got him fouled out the game, man, that was bogus.
Because I promise you, if Brandon Huntley-Hatfield is in that game, we will most likely win.
We'll probably win that game. Oh yeah, man. Looking at this team now against I don't know what's the word, against teams that have just as much talent, if not more. I think that the biggest hurdle with this team is going to be its front court. Louisville really struggled down low. We really need more from Dennis Evans. The Cards kind of struggling to rebound the ball and really just was getting abused down low. I mean, having to go against Caden Shedrick on Sunday, with Texas, and then Indiana having to go up against Malik Renew and Khalil Ware and Mackenzie Mbako. Though the front court is definitely the weakness. Our back court's the strength. And if we utilize that, I mean, if Dennis Evans can just become a guy, we don't need Dennis Evans to be a scorer. We just need him to be a shot blocker, a guy who can defend and stay out of foul trouble. If we could get that could, just that, from what I've seen, just that tweak right there could make a world's difference.
Definitely. Even Dennis is playing like a true freshman right now. Yeah. And even Okorafor, even though he's technically not a true freshman, but he is. I think we fix those small things. I think we are still competing.
Man, you know what this team is missing, bro? This team is missing muscle.
A lot.
The team has, I'm telling you, it seemed like every single play against Texas's main formula was, man, we're gonna get this ball down to Shedrick. He's gonna back it up on people and just try to put it up, and that's we couldn't stop it.
Hey, I will say, man, we made him work for it though.
I mean, we did make him work.
Man was on the floor, like 5 times.
Yeah, he didn't play against UConn because he was banged up, right?
Yeah, so I like that we're bringing that aggression, but can we keep that up?
Yeah, man, it's just I think it all hinges back on in-game adjustments. Can he not? I mean, you see obviously that you're getting abused in the paint. Why aren't you doubling? Texas did not shoot well from downtown. They weren't shooting well from outside of the paint. Why didn't you make an adjustment to that? Why didn't you? You know what I'm saying? Because even doubling Shedrick, man, would have made a world's difference. If Tyrese Hunter and Max Asmus beat you, then so be it. You know what I mean? But you see the same thing is happening to you, and you just don't do anything about it, man. That's just incompetent.
Let me ask you this.
All right.
I was watching the clip of of that Texas game, right?
Yeah.
Forget the poor officiating at the end there.
Yeah.
But once they hit the shot, we had a timeout left with about I think 0.4 seconds or something. That's enough for a catch and shoot. Do you think we could have gotten a timeout? Should we have called a timeout there?
I mean, I'll be real. Honestly, it was over. If there was 1 second left, then I would say. But man, 0.4, and you have to throw the ball all the way across the court. There was no chance. Honestly, that's my opinion. We might differ, but I just felt like the game was done at that point.
It was. I feel like we could have planned for at least a prayer.
Yeah.
At least give us a shot. It
Right.
might not be the best shot, but I feel like we should. It wouldn't hurt us. Calling a timeout wouldn't really have hurt us. So.
Right. But I mean, man, it just officiating, man. That missed foul call that Tyler should have gotten Tyler shouldn't have gotten a chance to go to the line, and that, man, it is the sad part about it is that I knew that once Texas got the ball back, we were going to lose the game.
When he shot that, we knew.
You just knew. Look, being a Louisville fan,
the
8 years.
Yeah.
Those kind of things happen. I mean, man, when DeAndre Hunter hit the bank shot 3 in 2018, when the ball was in the air, I was like, that's going in, bro. I just knew. There's just moments when you know. The Wright State shot last year. I knew it was going to go in because that just is what happens to Louisville, man. It's like, man, we might as well change our name to the University of Bad Luck because my God, it just doesn't make sense. But the good news is, unfortunately, as frustrating as those losses were, these back-to-back losses in New York, where Louisville has a lot of winnable games coming up, and I mean on paper, and this is basically hypothetically if they continue playing with the same effort that they're playing with. They got New Mexico State Sunday, very winnable game. They lost by 37 to Kentucky. Then you got Bellarmine, who beat Louisville last year in the Yum Center.
By 1 point?
By 1 point. However, Bellarmine's still not really looking as... They're not looking like the Bellarmine teams that we saw in the past. They lost a lot of guys. A lot of their main talent from that team. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those guys who followed Scotty D from D2 to D1. They lost a lot of those guys, and Bellarmine just has not been the same. Those are two very winnable games for Louisville.
New Mexico State, I think, is very winnable, but Bellarmine...
Yeah, from
a coaching standpoint, Scotty D is 9 times out of 10 going to outcoach Kenny. And so right there, I'm gonna have... I don't think, Bellarmine's going to be as easy or as winnable.
Me neither.
And then we have Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech.
We got 2 back-to-back road games. Virginia Tech's one of those games where it's just like, I know Louisville can win that game. It's going to be a close game, but it's like a lot of these games in our conference play are going to be like that. It's going to be a close game, but the question is, can Louisville finish? That's the worry. DePaul, I think Louisville should beat DePaul. I'm being real. On no planet ever should Louisville basketball ever lose to DePaul. We lost to them 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and then...
But even then that was inexcusable. I think that DePaul loss is what cooked Chris Mack's goose. When we lost that DePaul game, that's when the writing was kind of on the wall that, this probably isn't going to work out.
But don't you find it funny that, to be honest, other than that season, like, Chris Mack's run here hasn't been terrible.
It never was terrible.
It was really affected by COVID.
Yep.
And, of course, the cloud was still there.
Yep.
But his last year was really only his bad year. And even then, I think his father had passed away or something like that. So he's been dealing with stuff.
Dealing with a lot of stuff, man.
And so if technically we didn't even fire him, but, he quit. But he was gone. I don't know why after a 4-28 season, we're still trying to look for hope.
And that's what I'm saying, man. And that's what irritates me the most when I see... It's so... This is what I feared somewhat. Especially when things going wrong, is that, man, it's going to cause such a divide within the fan base that now you have... You know what I'm saying? Now you're either Team Kenny Payne
or you're not,
or you're anti-Kenny, and it's just like, no, dude.
No, it's even worse. It's even worse. They're like, either you're with Kenny, that means you're with Louisville.
Or
if you're not with Kenny, you're not with Louisville.
Yeah, you're not.
Like, that's all it is.
Like, bro, what? No, dude. Like, I want to win, and here's the thing, bro. Chris Mack was sacrificed for far less than what Kenny Payne has been. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, bro, we gave this man another chance after winning 4 basketball games out of 32. You know what I'm saying? The fact that Louisville even gave him another chance, and also not only gave him another chance, but didn't force him to make any changes to his staff. Like, Chris Mack, let's be real. Chris Mack he was forced to fire Luke Murray and Dino Gaudio.
I think that's what hurt him the most.
And they got fired for far less. We went 13-7 in a year. We had like 8-9 games canceled because of COVID. And if you play those games, Louisville makes the tournament.
Yep.
We're not even thinking twice about it. Those two got fired for far less. Why on earth did Josh Hurd? That's the one gripe I have with him. Why on earth did Josh Hurd not say, Kenny, you need to make changes? Because I'm sorry, and the fact that Kenny just like seemed perplexed at the question about his future and the staff's future. That's just it's so tone deaf, man.
And I think towards the end of the season, they asked him, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
Like he said that I don't think we have hit rock bottom yet. And I was like,
well, he was damn
this
right.
is the worst
team I've ever seen play.
Ever in Louisville.
I mean,
history.
I'm not even just Louisville. It's the worst basketball team I ever seen play. I'm talking like NBA, college basketball, high school basketball. That's the worst team I've ever seen.
And you want to say we haven't hit rock bottom? To me, that's rock bottom.
I mean, dude, it's just the constant tone deafness that pisses a lot of people off, and that pissed me off, man. Because it's just like, dude, do you even like know what you're doing? Do you even like value your job? Why on earth do you think things are okay after winning 4 basketball games in a season? Look, I expected Louisville to win like 13 to 15
13
games
to 15
last year.
games. That's
If we would have done that and looked respectable even in the losses,
I'd be okay.
given the circumstances, I'd be like, okay, that's something we can build on.
Yeah.
But 4? Are you kidding me, man? No. Bro, you cannot have that. And it's confusing me. Which brings me to my next question. And this is the one question before we wrap things up on this one.
All right.
Okay, hypothetical question for you here, bro. So say Louisville, okay, given our schedule, I think Louisville could win a lot of games if the coaching gets better, if the play gets better. You know what I'm saying? If the players still continue to play with the intensity that they did up in New York. If Kenny, for example, if Kenny goes 500, he finishes with like a 16-15 record, right? Okay. Do you think he keeps his job? And I wanted to hear an argument on why he keeps his job and what would have to change, or would anything change, or do you think that that's enough to go on and pull the plug and start over?
You know what? I think that he does keep his job. I think we would need a change in assistant coaching and stuff. I was never for Danny Manning's hire, and
Absolutely.
I don't think he fits this.
Yeah.
And so yes, with some changes that need to be made, I think he keeps his job. Also, I mean, the buyout right now to get him out of here isn't exactly cheap.
Well, here's the thing, bro, and this is another angle that you can put into that question. So the thing is that it's almost as if, even though Louisville doesn't have the money to fire him, it's almost like they almost can't afford to. The Yum Center cannot continue to stay that way. I mean, 4,700 tickets. I mean, yes, Coppin State is not exactly the most attractive matchup, especially Coppin State on a Wednesday night. It's not the most attractive matchup. However, there is no way that if that team was winning, the Yum Center would only have 4,700 people in there.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
There would be at least 12,000 fans in that arena.
Yep.
And so it's almost as if, even though we don't have the money to fire him, we might still be forced to. We would have to maybe negotiate a buyout, because it's hurting the Yum Center. It's hurting the city's economy, because here's the thing. The city really relies on Louisville sports to be good. And when Louisville sports is good, the city of Louisville's economy is really good. And it has not been that way. The Yum Center has practically been a ghost town in the past few years. And it cannot stay that way. And so I don't know. I think it hinges on how much do the fans buy back in. If the fans buy back in and you see attendance increase again, if the team is playing hard and say, for example, they still come up short against like a Duke or Carolina or Virginia, if that happens, then and the fans still buy back in, I think there's a case to keep them.
Yep.
But if the Yum Center stays the way that it's staying, and if fan engagement in the program and fan interest in the program is still as low as it is, Louisville, the administration might not have a choice but to pull the plug and start over.
It's simple. You win games, fans will show up.
Yep.
That's all it is. There's nothing more to it.
All it is, put the ball on the hoop and have more points than the other team when that clock hits zero.
That's all you got to do.
That's all it is, man. And Louisville, I mean, dude, looking at Louisville's schedule, all right, Louisville let's be real. And this is my unbiased opinion. I'm not trying to be biased, but I think Louisville should have no more than one loss heading into that Kentucky game. One more loss heading into that Kentucky game. New Mexico State, Bellarmine, DePaul, Arkansas State, Pepperdine. Louisville should win all those games. Virginia Tech.
Realistically, I'll say about 2. I'll say no more than 2 losses before that Kentucky game.
I still think, man, you still can't have a silly butt loss. You can't lose to New Mexico State, Bellarmine, Arkansas State, or Pepperdine. It would have to be either of those games. But even then, Louisville needs to win against a Power 6 opponent to you know what I'm saying?
Like, at this point, I'm not even worried about the tournament because that's
that's far-fetched.
That's very far-fetched. Just all I'm asking, win these games, all right? Compete against Kentucky. I don't expect us to win, but compete against the bigger teams. Yeah, and I think that's enough, right? Go 500 like you said. Make some coaching changes here and there, and I think that's enough to get him another year. Because as long as you start winning whatever we have next, like 5 games, five games.
The next five. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next 6, Louisville should, in my opinion, like I said, 5. You could go if you go 5 and 6 in that stretch.
5 and 1.
5. Five. You go 5 and 1 in that stretch. Man, you're 7 and 4 going into the Kentucky game, and I know that's not beautiful exactly.
But that's much better than we were last year, the right direction as well. If
you can get to that point and win maybe 8 or 9 games in the ACC, hopefully. There's a lot of winnable. The ACC still is down, and if you can win 9 games, you're right there. You're 16 wins right there. You know what I mean? And then you win a few in the ACC tournament. You at least at worst get to the NIT. You know what I mean? There's a sign. Then there's a sign that things are somewhat looking ahead. So, unfortunate, heartbreaking losses, but I did see a lot of growth from these teams. And,
Absolutely.
And now Louisville, they come back home and they'll take on a New Mexico State team on Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. From the KFC Center. And I think that's going to do it for us on this this second edition of the 502 Lounge. It's been a great podcast, and I just wanted to say I just really hope that everybody has a happy Thanksgiving and eats well, and their day tomorrow is filled with joy and laughter and love.
And before we go, I just want to finish up by saying, our first episode was out, and I did post a disclaimer in there, but it was very unedited and raw. And most likely this is going to be the same. Yeah. We're also trying to get comfortable just talking to the mic and stuff. And audio quality is going to get better here pretty soon.
Absolutely, man.
So just, keep watching and make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll be back for a preview of Kentucky football.
Yes,
Louisville,
sir.
Kentucky.
Yes, sir. And it's exciting, man. That I'm super excited for that game. It's one of the main events in Louisville athletics on my calendar every year that I look forward to. So I'm excited to preview that, and it's going to be a blast, man. So that's going to do it for us. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and we will see you all later.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.